Hello, my friends. I have something special for you today. I recently did a podcast episode over on my Communicate with Confidence podcast, and I thought it would be great for all of you. It's all about just bad things happening and happening and happening and happening, and then taking that and in the moment turning it around. And so it kind of shows that on the small scale, things that maybe aren't like major depression or a traumatic event, but just the small things in life that just keep on pounding over and over and over and over again until it builds up to one big thing. And that's kind of what this episode is about. And so I hope this gives you some kind of skill or motivation or inspiration to do something when bad things are happening and happening and happening, and you just don't know what to do about it. So please enjoy. You're listening to the Communicate with Confidence podcast with me, your host, Luke Maxwell. This podcast is dedicated to helping you build confidence, increase your communication skills, and journey with me in the relentless pursuit of what you want most in life. In this episode number 73, I have another speech, quote unquote speech for you about an experience I had. So I hope you enjoy this. I can be pretty stupid sometimes. When I say stupid, I don't mean just like being dumb and doing things that are dumb and not being able to understand things, but rather just getting myself into situations that should have been not bad, but ended up being bad. And so I went on a trip to San Francisco and to film some stuff for a client. I was attending a meeting. It was supposed to be really simple, really great. There wasn't really any hiccups involved because it wasn't very complicated. And so since it wasn't very complicated, of course, I thought, I'm going to do something different. And I've always talked with some of my friends about taking a train trip, up the West Coast, because I'm in California. Just taking it all the way up the West Coast, maybe going into Canada, because of a friend who's dual citizenship, so she's from Canada. And I thought this is a perfect time to experiment around with the whole train system and learning how everything works with it. And so I scheduled my train tickets up to San Francisco, and I thought, okay, this is going to be a little bit of an adventure, but how complicated could it be, really? Famous last words. And so I wake up early on a Friday morning. I make sure I leave myself with plenty of time, and I get ready, I start to go, and I realize, oh wow, I left myself plenty of time, but because of that, I took way too much time to do stuff. And so now I'm running late. And I was scheduled to get there right on time to catch my train. And I thought, okay, cool. There's probably some room. So everything should be fine. I'll get there, get on, everything will be great. I have my tickets, everything's ready. I drive. I'm 3 minutes out, almost out of my community that I live in. And I realized, oh no. I forgot my phone charger, I forgot my laptop charger, and I forgot my extra battery for my camera, which I was going to need because I was going to be filming for at least 8 hours straight. And so I thought I had to make the decision. This is where I'm thankful for my for my ability to make decisions, because immediately I thought, I'm going to miss my train. I can't miss my train. And for a second, I was about to go. I was about to just leave because I need to catch my train. I'll deal with everything later, right? I'll solve it on my way there. But then I realized I'm going to be on a train for 10 hours. And I'm not going to have a laptop charger. I'm not going to have a phone charger. And then I'm going to have to take the train back 10 hours without a laptop charger or without a phone charger. And I won't be able to do my job because I won't have an extra battery for my camera. So not only will it just be a terrible trip, but I won't be able to actually do the job that I'm being paid to go out there and do. And so I had to make the snap decision. I had to drive back, go into my house, grab everything, find everything. As it was, I still forgot a charger for my headphones, but that was fine because I have a backup pair that's not Bluetooth, so I don't need a battery. Always have backups just ready. And grabbed them, went down. Now I'm about 5 minutes late. And I'm driving, and it's raining, so there's a ton of traffic. I finally get to the station and I'm just like, I don't know where to go. I don't know where anything is. And so I see a place that might look like a train track. And so by the time I get there, I'm close to 10 minutes late for my train. And I think it's gone. Like my train is gone. And I walk up and I'm walking up and I turn the corner and I see that train sitting there. And I go, wait, I think that's mine. I think that's mine. And so I start to fast walk over there. I start to walk and walk and walk and walk. I see the train and then I watch the doors. I'm about 50 feet away from it. And I watch the doors close and the train takes off. And I just sit there and go, oh no, oh no, I just missed my train. I can't believe it. I just missed my train. I have an early, I had to get up early the next morning in order to get everything ready for filming. Like I couldn't be late. And so I walked into the station. I was like, I just missed my train. I was on this train. And he said, wait, but that just took off right now. I'm like, yeah, I know. I saw it, the doors close, and I saw it drive away. And so luckily he was able to transfer me over to another system and get me all of my stops because I had to transfer to a bus at one point. So I was able to get a whole new schedule and I was about to leave, right? I had a little bit of time before I left. And I realized, oh wow, I'm going to have to take a train to a bus to a train to a bus to somewhere in San Francisco. I don't even know if it's anywhere near the hotel. And so I'm just trying not to freak out. I'm trying to find an outlet. I'm trying to find some coffee because I had no caffeine and I was not ready to tackle the day with this amount of stress and confusion with no food because I'd left my bagel there, by the way. Forgot to tell you. Yeah, I got a bagel out, put it down, closed up the bagel bag, and left the bagel. So I had no food, no coffee. And I was just not ready to deal with it. And so my train came, I was able to transfer over and I was able to, eventually I would find my bus and then I had a stopover in LA and I got super lost and I thought I missed my bus, but thankfully I got the hour wrong and I was able to find everything. So I finally get there, right? The train, and then by the way, if you ever travel on a bus, they probably have an outlet. The outlets don't work. So I'm running down both of the batteries in my phone and my laptop. And I was able to finish a project that I've been working on. I was able to able to edit a book that I'm working on, and so I was able to do a lot of stuff without Wi-Fi because there really was no Wi-Fi. They say they have Wi-Fi. It's like 15 kilobytes per second. And so I finally get there. I get to the hotel. I get to San Francisco. And it's 10:30 at night. I'm in a totally strange place. I'm dropped off somewhere. And I go, wait a minute, let me map this really quickly. Turns out I'm 30 minutes away from my hotel. And so I'm able to call an Uber. Eventually I get in this Uber. And we get there, I get to the hotel, get a beer, relax, and then next day. And so I traveled for about 12 hours that day. Next day, what happens? Get up, get ready, miss breakfast because I had to rush straight to the conference room. Manage to find the conference room, get my camera set up, and what happens? My camera dies. Just doesn't work. And then it kind of works, and then it doesn't work anymore. And I'm freaking out because this is an expensive camera. I still owe money on it. And I'm here to film. That's why I am there. And so I'm just internally freaking out. And on the outside, right, still playing it cool. Still just like, okay, just here, participating, doing things. All the while I'm like, work. And so it works for the first half. Lunch happens, starts to kind of work again, and then it just goes black. Nothing. I tried changing the batteries. One of them, it didn't work. And so I'm just freaking out. And so I get most of the filming that I need to get filmed. So there wasn't really a whole lot. There wasn't really anything I missed. And then it came to a time where they're like, oh yeah, let's create some content. Let's have like a panel discussion solely for the camera, not for the people there. So I, of course, have to go, my camera actually is dead. So this is where I'm so glad I had so many years of bootstrapping and doing things the cheap way, because I just pulled out my phone. I'm like, oh, I know how to film on this, because I filmed on my phone for 4 years of making videos. It was all on my phone, except when my brother would help me out and film something with his nice cameras. So I'm like, okay, I know how to do this. I'm just reverting back to how I used to do things and just bootstrapped it. Set up my phone against the coffee mug, got a nice angle, hit record, and then just played. And then we just did like a 30, 40, I think it was it? Oh, it was like 30 minutes. 30 minutes of question and answer. And then I was like, okay, that's good. I was trying to moderate it, but it was all about like really technical engineering stuff, which I'm going to talk about next week. I'm excited for this. Next week's episode, I'm still working on it. Really happy for that. So watch out for that coming up. And I and I do that. I'm like, okay, cool. Now I'm done. I'm done. Like, I did my job. I got it all. I made sure that it was recording, because halfway through the panel, I thought, oh no, it's not recording. And then, of course, like, I'm not going to go up and check it. So thankfully at the end, I was like, oh no, it was recording. Everything was recording. And so I go to back to my hotel room for a couple hours, and we're all going to go out to dinner. And they were going to go to a restaurant right down the street. And then I get a text right before, I'm ready to leave, and I'm waiting for them to text me and let me know that they're in the lobby or they're heading over. And I get a text like, hey, by the way, we're going to a restaurant that's like 30 minutes away by Uber. And by that point, I just said no. I rated a snack, because I rated a snack place that they had at the hotel. Brought it back. I'm like, I'm good. I'm just going to bed. And then I fell asleep, woke up at 4 a.m., and then had a 13-hour drive back by train and bus. All the while running down my electronics, managed finding places to charge them along the way. It was a huge adventure. I'm definitely glad I had it. And the reason I'm bringing all this up is, one, because it's just hilarious. Like, it's just absolutely hilarious. But another thing is that it was a pressure that I wasn't used to. I'm used to different kinds of pressure. Pressure to get a podcast out, or pressure dealing with, making sure a client thing is right, or, like different pressures that come along with running a business, with running my mental health initiative. But this was a type of pressure of travel and being stuck in a place, literally, and not having really any avenue. And on the final train trip back, I was maybe a couple hours away from getting back. It just felt like everything bad I've ever felt was just kind of coming back. I was just mentally exhausted. And all the barriers that I have to, keep, all this just mental stuff at bay, all the strategy I have for fighting, all of the different things, that I go through every day, they were just gone. And I just sat there. And I was just like, I just can't, like, I'm just absorbing, like, all of this. And then I thought, and then for some reason, like, this is a weird experience for me. All this bad stuff was just happening. And I was just thinking, I was just going through my mind, everything that bad has ever happened to me in my life. I was just like, my mind was just going through it. And all of a sudden, I thought about one of my favorite memories ever. And I know it seems very simple, but one of my favorite memories ever, and I can't logically tell you why, is being at a beach at 2 a.m. in the morning with a couple of my closest friends, just relaxing, drinking, having a good time, just at a state of utter relaxation. Because I'm not relaxed a whole lot. I have a lot of pressures, I have a lot of stress in my life. And so having a time where I'm just purely relaxed is very rare for me. And my mind just immediately went there.
And what I really got out of this was, number one, knowing how to navigate the train system and knowing that I don't want to do that again. I'd rather fly. Oh, and I see on the cake with that, the airport was right across the street from my hotel. I could have flown in, walked to the hotel, and been there within the hour. Like it was a one final punch to the face. That's really what it was. But after all of that, I realized that, you know what, like I have the ability to think about negative stuff, right? Whatever it want it to be. I have that ability to think of that. But I also have the choice to instead focus on the best parts of my life, focus on the best parts of me. And instead of making the bad things my identity and attaching that to myself, instead of what I want to do is I want to make the positive actions that I've achieved because of those bad things, I want that to be attached to my meaning of myself, the way I view my own personal brand. And I was just sitting there like almost delirious with because I barely slept. I just was totally and utterly exhausted, hungry, thirsty because I just kept on running out of water throughout the trip. And in that just state of like just utter like just like I don't want to say brokenness because I've experienced brokenness. It wasn't brokenness, but just the state of just utter just exhaustion. I realized that I'm stuck. This is why I'm able to do what I do. This is why I run a business. This is why that's why I create content. Why I help people is because I know exactly what I need to do when I'm stuck at a hard place. When I'm stuck, right? I'm at that. When I hit that bottom, when I just hit that, my first response is to bounce back up. And I find a way to bounce back up. And I think that's just one thing that I think you can really take away from this. And this is why I kind of tell this story, is that we have a tendency, many of the people I've coached, because I have a lot of people who are going through a lot of different things. Oftentimes the tendency when they hit bottom is to give up. When they hit bottom is to say, well, I'm here, I'm stuck. And I've been there. And because I've been there, I know now that no, I'm not stuck. That I hit the bottom and I'm going to use that bottom as a trampoline. I'm going to bounce back up. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be simple. It's not going to just take effect immediately. It's not like I was on that train. I felt terrible and just utterly weak, I think is a good word to use for it. It's not like I felt that and all of a sudden I would just push myself up and I felt like on top of the world and I was happy and had tons of energy. No, like that's not what happened. But what happened is I felt more of a sense of peace. And to top that all off, so we'll go through all this. So this is just my 3 days, right? Total of 27 hours of traveling, give or take. I immediately head over to a Christmas party that a friend is having. There's upwards around 50 people there. And if you know me, I don't like parties. I don't like large gatherings. It's just not fun for me. I don't know what to do. I'm just flitting in between different groups and having small talk. And I don't enjoy it. I'd much rather be with a small group of people I can actually talk to and be with and relax around. And so I'm there until 12 o'clock at night. And then I finally go home and I sleep for 13 hours. And that is my solution. Is okay, I'm going to sleep this off. And so that's kind of, the reason I tell that story is because I want you to kind of see that just because something isn't huge, like it was 3 days of my life, I probably won't remember it in 50 years. But just because that's maybe not a huge part of your life, just because it's maybe not a huge, terrible incident, doesn't mean that it can't affect you, and doesn't mean you can't use that to springboard. I work so well under pressure. When I'm being forced into a corner, that's when I fight back. And if you don't have that response, then maybe it's time to build it. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Communicate with Confidence podcast. I hope you enjoyed this little speech of mine. I've been working on some more that I'm excited about, telling a story, learning something from that story in a different prose and a different, way, as if I'm actually giving it to an actual audience. Stay tuned for more. I'm really excited about some of the upcoming podcast episodes, some things I'm creating. I'm using this winter break effectively, like I said in my last podcast episode. I'm using it effectively. I'm using it to build some exciting stuff that I'm really proud of. Also, if my analytics are correct, most of you are listening on Apple iTunes, Apple Podcast. That's what it's called. I'm not an Apple person. I think it's Apple Podcast. Please, if you can rate and leave a rating, that would be so helpful. And that's how more people can learn about this podcast. That's how more people can learn how to journey, right, with us, with all of us, in the relentless pursuit of what we want most in life. Show notes and more are at the communicatewithconfidencepodcast.com. I look forward to seeing you soon, and remember to always stay on the positive side of things.
Thank you for watching that. If you like that and you want to find something more like that, then please subscribe to the Communicate with Confidence podcast. It is everywhere, and I'll put a link in the description. It's going great. We just crossed 5,000 downloads, and so I'm really excited about the future for this podcast and putting all those kinds of thoughts and ideas there. Being ashamed and staying ashamed.